All right, today's lesson is on GCF and LCM of monomials. Remember, monomial is a single term, like 15x squared y to the fifth, that is a monomial. 12x to the fourth y, that is also a monomial. So we are going to be finding the greatest common factor and least common multiples of these monomials. So first, just to remind you, the greatest common factor is to find the factors. So factors are little pieces. So you're looking for the biggest little piece that goes evenly into 15 and 12. And then for the variables, it's kind of weird, but for the variables, the greatest common factor is actually going to be the least from both. Oh, my thing's not working right. Oh, great. What did I do? So the least. Oh, sorry guys. I'm trying to do this with my stylus because I don't have my classroom right now. So I will type it. Take the smallest variable. See? From both. Right? It has to be common with both for the greatest common factor. So that's kind of the weird thing here. All right, so I don't know what happened on the screen. Okay. So if I look at the numeric part of this, I'm looking for the greatest common factor for 12 and 15. So what I do is I start with the smallest number, and I ask myself, does 12 go into 15 evenly? And it doesn't. So then I'm like, all right, what are the factors of 12? So the factors of 12 are 1, oops, oh no, just a second. 1 times 12, I'm just gonna, nope, that doesn't work out here. 2 times 6, and 3 times 4, okay? So now I'm gonna go down my list, because I want the biggest little piece. These are all the little pieces that make 12, my smallest number. So I'm like, well, 12 doesn't go in. I already know that's not gonna happen, so that's out. Does 6 go into 15? No. Does 4 go into 15? No. Does 3 go into 15? Yes. So that means, oh, this pen is like shit, I think. So that means that the greatest common factor for the numeric part, for the constant or the coefficient, is 3. Then I look at my exponents. I want to take the smallest one, right? So x squared, because 2 is smaller than 4. And then I compare y to the fifth, y to the first. Well, y to the first is the smallest one. Okay, so the greatest common factor for these two monomials is 3x squared y. All right, let's look at GCF. I mean, that was GCF. Let's look at LCM, sorry. All right, the least common multiple. So multiples are bigger. They'll never be smaller than the biggest number, okay? So multiples of 10 are 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and so on. So multiples are very big. So for the variable part, you're actually going to take the smallest. I mean, the largest. Oh my gosh. You're taking the most from both, okay? For the least common multiple, we want to, first off, you know that the least common multiple is never going to be smaller than the biggest number. I'm going to type that up here. So, and I know you don't have this on your notes, so if you want to copy it down, you can. Not biggest number, okay? So, look at my numbers. I have 3 and 4. Well, 3 does not go into 4. I always, again, when I'm doing least common multiple, I'm looking at the largest number. So now I'm going to write the multiples of 4, or some multiples of 4 until I find one that 3 goes in. So 4 times 1 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8. Oh, seriously? 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times 4 is 16. All right, let's go down our list. Well, we know 4 isn't going to work. 3 does not go into 8 evenly. 3 does go into 12. So 12 is my least common multiple. Then I'm taking the largest exponent, which would be a 5 here, right? 5 is bigger than 3, so x to the fifth. and then 4 is bigger than 2, so y to the 4th. So this is the least common multiple of this set of monomials. All right, now let's look and see with our practice problems. We have 10 practice problems. So now we're finding the LCM. It's never going to be smaller than the largest number, so I look at the largest number. My largest number is 18. And I ask myself, right, does 5 or 15 go into 18? It doesn't. So now I'm going to take a second and I'm going to write the multiples of 18. So 18 times 1 is 18, 18 times 2 is 36, and 18 times 3 is, 54. It's an even number. 5 is definitely not going into that. 18 times 4 is 72, another even number, not going into that. 18 times 5 is 90. Well, I know 5 goes into that. I just have to double check to see if that 15, because I need to make sure that it's common for all three numbers. I know 18 goes into 90 evenly, and I take 90 and divide it by 15, and I get 6. So it turns out that 90 is my least common multiple. Multiples are big. All right. Then for the variable, for least common multiples, when we're talking about variables and exponents, we want to take the most from all of them. So the highest exponent here is a 12 for my x's. The highest exponent for my y is a 2. And then the highest exponent for my z is 10. So 90, x to the 12th, y to the 2nd, z to the 10th, that is the least common multiple of these monomials. All right, let's look at the next one. So now I have 36 and 54. Always look at the biggest one for least common multiple and be like, all right, 54. If I divide it by 36, does that work out? It does not. So now I'm going to take a second and write the multiples. And I'm going to abbreviate because it's hard to write with this stylus on here. Multiples of 54. So 54 times 1 is 54. 54 times 2 is 108. 54 times 3 is 162. All right. Well, we know that 54 does not, or 36 doesn't go into 54. But does 36 go into 108? So 36 divided by 108 is 3. So it turns out that this was my least common multiple. I didn't even need to go out to 162. So 108. And then I want to take the most, the highest exponent. So 6 x's. 4 y's. And 2 z's. All right, cool. All right, next, still on least common multiple. Look at your biggest number. Does 30 go into 96? Probably not. Let me move this so I can change colors because I like to change colors here. So that's, see what I'm working on. Okay, come on, you. All right, 96. Well, so now we got 96 times 1 is 96. 96 times 2 is 192. And I'm just real quick going to see if 30 goes into that. Divided by 30, it does not. So 96 times 3 is 288. I doubt 30 goes into that, but I'm going to try it really quick. It does not. So 96 times 4 is 384. Divided by 30, does not. 96 times 5 is 480. All right, quickly divide that by 30, and I'm like, hey, it goes in 16 times. All right, so that means 480 is my least common multiple. And then I'm going to take my highest exponent, a to the 8th. And they have the same number of b's, so I'm going to take those b's, b to the 4th. All right, 2 more examples here. All right, let's look at this next one. So, look at your biggest number. Does 24 go into 48? Well, yeah, it does. So guess what? 48 is my least common multiple. Then I take my highest exponent. So a to the 10th, b to the 3rd, And I know that the second monomial, this doesn't have a c, but this does, and I gotta take it, because it's gotta be, it's the most, right? This 1c is bigger than c to the nothing. All right, there we go. Tick, tick, tick. One more to go. All right, 18 and 48, real quick. Does 18 go into 48? 48 divided by 18 is 2.6 repeating, so no, it does not. So now we gotta write the multiples of 48. So we got 48, 48 times 1, 48 times 2, 96, and I'm like, okay, I don't want to keep going if I don't have to. Does 90, if I divide by 18, it does not. So 48 times 3, 144. Does 18 go into that? What? It does. It goes in 8 times. So 144 is my LCM. Then I take the highest exponent, so u to the 5th, v to the 3rd, sorry about my pen here, and w to the 7th. All right, 144, u to the 5th, v to the 3rd, w to the 7th is my LCM of those two monomials. All right, that's LCM. Let's check out GCF. All right, greatest common factors. Factors are little pieces. It's so hard to write with this pen. All right, they're like, I always think about Lego blocks. Lego blocks are pieces of a building, right? So factors are pieces of a number. So when I'm doing greatest common factor, I look at the smallest number and I want to write all the factors of that because honestly, that's the least amount of work and I like that, right? So 6 does not go into 27, so we can write out the factors of 6. 1 and 6 and 2 times 3. Well, we already know 6 does not go into 27. Does 3 go into 27? Yes, it does. So that is my greatest common factor for 6 and 27. Now for greatest common factors, we want to take the smallest exponent that they both have. So x to the 2nd, y to the 2nd, and since they both have z to the 4th, we'll just z to the 4th. That would be the greatest common factor of those two monomials. All right, let's look what happens when we have 3 numbers, right? Again, always start with the smallest number. The smallest number is 4. Does 4 go into 24? Check. Does 4 go into 32? Check. Guess what? 4 is my LCM. It's the smallest piece that goes into all of those numbers evenly. Then we take the least or smallest. And it's so funny because it's called greatest common factor. It's like a conundrum, right? X squared and then y to the 3rd. Okay, so 4x squared y to the 3rd is the GCF of these 3 monomials. All right, next, let's look at this. 36 and 9, always again, go to the smallest number. Does 9 go into 36? Sure does. So guess what? 9 is my GCF. And I want to take the smallest exponent, x to the 4th, because 4 is smaller than 6, and just this singular y. There we go. That's my GCF. All right, we got 2 more examples here. So now, again, I'm going to look at the smallest number, 15. Does 15 go into 84? I mean, I doubt it, but I'm going to just try it. Okay, it does not. So let's write down our factors, because these are factors. 1 times 15 and 3 times 5. Well, we know 15 doesn't go in. You think 5 goes into 84? No, it does not. Does 3 go into 84? It does. All right, cool, cool, cool. So 3 is my GCF. Now, when I look at my variables, I take the smallest. So this A, 1A is the smallest. This 1B is the smallest. And there is no C's. So guess what? No C's is the smallest, then 3 C's. So 3AB is my greatest common factor. If they don't have a common variable, it's not like LCM, okay? It's the complete opposite. If they don't have it in common, then it's not happening for the greatest common factor. All right, last one, 22 and 15. Look at your smallest number. Does 15 go into 22? No. All right, let's write our factors out. And let's go down our list, right? Well, we know 15 doesn't go in. Does 5 go into 22? Nope. Does 3 go into 22? Nope. So guess what? It's 1. Ah, it's unfortunate when 1 is the greatest common factor, but it happens. I'm going to write it, but you don't have to write it for it to be true. And then I'm going to take the smallest exponent. U to the third, V to the second, and this singular W. All right, so that is the GCF. 1U3, or U to the third power, V to the second power, W. You should be able to get through your homework. Make sure you're reading the GCF and LCM of monomials because it switches back and forth between LCM and GCF, okay? So I want to make sure that you're answering the questions correctly, okay? And these common multiples are big pieces. And then you want to take the most from both. GCF are factors, they're little pieces. So you want to find the biggest little piece that goes into them, and then you want the smallest exponent. Okay? All right, let me know if you have any questions. Have a great day. Bye.